All right. Here we go. Three, two, one. Hello and welcome to PE turned RE. I'm Curtis, and today we're talking to another house hacker, Kyle Summers. We actually met at a local event, so thank you for coming on today's show here, Kyle.
Yes, for sure. Thank you.
So you've house hacked a couple times. Can you kind of tell the people where you're currently at?
Yeah, I currently live in Lacey in a single family house, and I moved out of Little Rock, not too far from here, to do a house hack on a duplex, and was able to over about a year and a half kind of renovate that and move out here. And so that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Nice. So you've house hacked twice. In your current single family, do you rent out the bedrooms, or is it just you?
Currently, it's just me. I did do bedrooms for about a year with, some friends and stuff, and that worked out really well. But everybody's got changes quite often, so it's hard to keep up sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. So what got you started down the house hack? Because you said you started with the duplex and then you went to single family. So what initially started that house hacking plan?
Well, funny enough, I had an hour drive to work. I work in the trades as a carpenter, and for probably about a year straight, I kind of got hooked on this whole thing, with the bigger pockets and stuff like this that I heard about. And I don't know, just being fed with, pretty clear advice and stuff I've never really heard growing up on what it would look like to kind of replace my income I'm working for with some other means. And so I just wanted to take that risk at some point, and when I knew the opportunities would come, I would jump on it. And so the opportunity came, and I was able to save money while I was living at my parents. So thank God for them. Um, and I kind of pulled the trigger and it kind of started this journey of learning everything kind of from scratch in a lot of difficult ways, but I'm so thankful for the opportunities that have kind of lined up for me. And I usually learn by making mistakes anyway, so it's worked out well for me that way. So
Nice. Yeah. I don't know if anybody that's invested that's like, oh yeah, it's been perfect. There's been no mistakes. So I don't think you're alone there. So
right.
for that first duplex, you had said you had lived at home to kind of save up. Um, Going into it, were you a little bit more confident because you are in the trades? So if something needed to be fixed, you could kind of fix it, or what gave you the confidence to make that jump?
Yeah, thanks. I think, like I said, there's huge confidence in knowing that I do make mistakes every day. You don't, obviously, right? No, but and so knowing that I'm going to work every day, mainly making mistakes and fixing my own mistakes, I'm like, you know what? I can pretty much do this with everything I try. And so, um, yeah, I would say the confidence from my job inherently gave me that to be used in something brand new like this. I didn't go to school for any of this. I am probably the least organized person you know. So, but I have ambition, and when I've got a goal, I like to complete things. I like to see the end goal before I even start a project or before I even invest my time into something new. And so whatever happens in between, that's the journey, man. And sometimes it's really difficult, and other times I'm asking help of you. That's why we connected at one point
Yeah.
because I'm like, hey, I'm lost, Curtis. You got any tips? And so thank you. Yeah.
Good, good. Yeah, the tips were my own. I just regurgitated for what I heard from other people.
Right.
Nice, nice, good. So, what was a challenge with that first duplex that maybe you anticipated or maybe you didn't even think of to kind of plan for?
Mm. Well, I would say a big part of this that I've been able to learn is how to just be real with people as we work with them in all different capacities with their jobs and even stuff like this. Um, but it's really important for me to connect well with people and be truthful and honest and open in all the ways that, I feel like I should. Um, because it's important that people can trust me and that I can trust them. But alongside that, it's hard for me to be clear in what is truth sometimes, and um, I think the biggest thing I've learned is how to communicate well with people, knowing that I do really want to care for their needs, and if I have tenants that need a house, like if I'm able to provide that for them, that's a really cool thing to provide. But um, at the end of the day, we have a job to do, and these are means that I'm kind of putting on myself and my future family someday, to self-support, right? Um, and so just making it very clear, I guess, with the people I work with, that we're here to help each other out, and same thing, mistakes along the way, but yeah,
Yeah, at first it's kind of hard to manage the business and the humanity side of it since we do provide like the housing piece. And
yeah,
so, yeah, I hear that struggle from a lot of new like uh like landlords. Okay,
right.
so you're in this duplex, you're kind of going through it, you're making mistakes, you're recovering from them. So how do you go from that one to the next one?
Great question. It seemed like so many things changed in a short amount of time, Curtis. Uh, I was living there for about a year by myself on one side, and the entire time I lived there, I lived in a job site. It's just crazy. I go to work, all day, and I'm a mess, right? And then I come home and I live in a mess. And so I just got used to this routine. It's like, all right, I go home to work and I wake up to work. And through that year, I just completely demoed and did the whole kitchen, floors, the whole thing. And that was my first kind of trial run on doing my own project, which I was really excited about because this was like a way I could practice that. Um, but like I said, handling tenants and making sure I'm clear with what's going on, that was probably the example that came up for me was, we've got, a family next door with kids, and they have bedtimes and this and that. And honoring that is important. And I didn't in a lot of ways. And it's just I didn't know how to manage my time well with theirs. And we worked through it all, and it's been great over the time. But um yeah, I spent that year remodeling and was able to have a buddy help me out, rent one of the rooms with me on my side. And I think shortly after that, some other opportunities came up, where I reached out to Furnish Finder. It's this local network. I think they work in other states as well, but they usually help out traveling nurses and professionals like that to provide midterm housing. And
Hmm.
so I had heard about it and I was curious on what that entailed. And so I kind of just got a really, brief message out to them. And within a month, I got somebody interested, and I found myself moving back to my parents like a month and a half later, and my whole, schedule changed, because somebody was willing to move from out of state because they needed housing, in a few weeks. That provided a way for me to move out and pay for the whole duplex, at the time. And so, I'm riding this unknown wave, it seems like monthly, because I don't know what's next. Um, and so that happened. And for, I don't know, that 2 months I was there, just kind of twiddling my thumbs, like, all right, Lord, what do you have for me next? I'm kind of clueless here. Um, and in that process, I was able to, uh, I'm always looking for means of like why I'm saving money, right? If I'm going to work and I'm putting money away, it it kind of stresses me out because I want to make sure I can use that money well. And if I don't have reasons to spend it, I can use it poorly. So kind of a last minute thing. I'm like, oh man, I got to buy something. I need to purchase a tiny home. I think that's what I need to do. And another opportunity came up, and I just kind of pulled the trigger on that. Bought a tiny home from a guy he had already built out. Um, and that just ended up sitting at my parents' property for a while until I had a means for that. And then I'm like, you know what? I need a place to live. I can't. I shouldn't be here. This is their space, and they're so kind of me to be able to use it. But within that 2 month time, I was able to purchase the house I'm in now. Um, and I don't know, just things kind of lined up back to back. And um, so I moved out. I'm here now, and I spent about 2 or 3 months remodeling this house while I lived in the tiny home on this property. Meanwhile, the whole time I'm battling the HOA because I guess they don't allow tiny homes on my property. So,
Oh
I mean,
boy.
I went through a whole nother process. And you know what? I've been here for about almost 2 years now and had great roommates in the time I was here and just kind of waiting on what's next. And
Okay. Wow.
yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack there. So you use the furnish finder, you instantly kind of get like a good match, and then you're like, okay, well, if they're going to take this space, I have to go somewhere. So luckily, you kind of take a step back, which I don't think most people would, right? I mean, you're out on
Mm,
your own, your house
mm,
happy, and then you take a step back. I
mm.
put quotes there because really it was a step ahead towards in your goals. So I just
Mm.
want to give like a kudos because I don't think many people would take that move to go back home.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, it's been wonderful. But
Good,
yeah, it
good.
was not easy decisions for sure.
Okay.
But
And then you purchased the tiny house that you were able to live in while you were repairing your current house.
mhm.
So what's the plan with that tiny home now?
Well, it's actually back at my parents.
Okay.
And yeah, they're able to use it quite a bit. They've got the Airbnb thing going for it. And kind of a neat thing is as far as the outlook of it, it's a pretty clear thing for my mom to retire, I think. And so I'm already seeing her just kind of invest a lot of time into it, and she's able to clean it, every other day for people that come in and out, and they manage it all the time, and so we kind of cut a little bit of the profits from it, but at the same time, it's really cool that you know something like that can help multiple people, in the family,
Hmm.
and it's been pretty neat to work on the project together. So.
Wait. So let me hear you right here. That one purchase is going to help your mom retire before she planned.
Oh yeah, I hope so. Yeah, she wasn't thinking about retiring probably in the next decade, and she's looking like maybe the next year or two. So
Oh wow.
it's pretty cool. Yep.
That is awesome. So where's this tiny house at? You don't have to give me the exact like location here, but
110003.
but kind of just like what's the appeal of that area?
Right. So we're where I grew up in the Capitol Forest, we're backing right up the Capitol Forest, just tons of acres of, mountain biking and horseback riding and stuff. That's my roots, and that's where I would love to get back someday. But I think the appeal is just for anybody outdoor minded, because they're right up against the forest there, and it's kind of set up in a way that it's like a campsite
Hmm.
that gets you away from busy life. And so there's people that seem to travel all the way from Seattle, it's like
Oh.
that's quite a distance to come to a little campsite, but they love it. And it's kind of set up nice with a little hot tub and string lights and stuff like that to make it feel like you're kind of in this little resort by yourself. But I know I'm kind of bummed. I'm like, man, I kind of want to live there every time I go by. But uh, it's good though. Yeah, it's been a fun
Nice.
project.
Nice, good. So it seems like you've done some like value add type stuff at each place. Was that kind of the plan is to buy properties that needed some work since you could do the work in yourself, or did it just kind of happen that way?
Well, again, I'm figuring this out on my own. I don't know what I should be doing, but I have a hard time, at least in this real estate market, purchasing something that somebody else has done the work in. And so it was funny when my buddy was looking for houses with me. We'd go into a house that was all done up, and it probably was pretty good priced. But they had done everything just like I had done it. I'm like, ah, man, I just can't do this. And then we walk into a house like this. When I came into it, I'm like, this is the one, in 1970s, the cabinets are all falling apart. There's, I just had ideas, and I took half the kitchen apart, and it's just turned out to be a really fun project. But I kind of took like the most opportunity in a house and tried to make as much change as I could. Probably not the best option, when you don't have a budget to handle, you're just kind of figuring it out on the go. So, yeah,
Uh,
again, it's been
okay,
a learning
okay.
process.
Paying for the projects as you go. I like it. Okay.
Right.
So what we haven't touched on is not only are you a carpenter, you're also a musician, right?
Yeah.
So how are you managing your carpenter job, which I'm sure pays the bills, plus all these rehabs that you have to do, but you have to be cautious of what times that you work, you bedtimes and the HOA, and playing in your band. How are you managing all of this?
I would say not well, Curtis. Uh, Again, I'm not the best organized person you'll meet, but that's something I'm learning on. That's something I'm learning how to manage. Um, I think, let's see here. It's a great question. Uh, there are certain things that I manage well, and I would say for the last 6.5 years, shown up to work on time. I learned how to work hard, show up, be somebody trustworthy, um, because I want to make sure people can count on me. And so I think that rhythm of waking up early, getting to the job, focusing on that for other people's means, showing up for them, that put into practice like this new rhythm that I didn't really care for in the past. Um, well, I guess before that, with music, I would show up for a jazz band. It was this 5 a.m. morning every day of the week for 5 years straight. And I guess most high schoolers and middle schoolers weren't doing that. So yeah, it started early for me. Um, and I think the work provided me that just steadiness in my schedule, that I knew I needed to show up for. But I was always balancing that after work with my music, like you were asking about, because that's my passion. I've been able to be a part of so many neat groups of friends and connected with so many wonderful people all over the world now, and it's just
Oh,
amazing through my music. And it's just a gift from God that He's given me. And I feel like that's the one thing I should not waste in life. I could figure all this real estate out and probably crash and burn, but at the end of the day, it's like if I could just play music in some capacity, it would be wonderful. So it's something I'm really careful with is my fingers. I'm working all day smashing my fingers with hammers and, well, not literally, but uh so I got to be really careful with that because I want to make sure I can continue doing those things. Um and so I found there was a time where I was quite unbalanced with my work and my music. And I think this is pretty key to where I'm at now because I was working so heavily, driving, an hour and a half every day, commuting, and just burnt out, tired. But all I wanted to do was play music, and show up for that. And there were days I'd have to plan to dress well enough after my work. So I'd be like changing my clothes in a job site, like
Oh
to
wow.
leave up to Seattle to set up a gig and play for an hour and come back. And I mean, really fun times, but not ideal for for sanity, I guess. So there was a time where I just had to take a halt and I'm like, all right, I need to step back from music so I can focus on work because I need to show up for work, you know. I can't be
Mhm.
half asleep all day, you know? And so I took a step back from that, and that gave me an opportunity to appreciate this thing I love. And stepping away from music, my passion, um, into focusing on work made me crave the opportunities I would have with music if they came up, you know, and I wasn't just doing everything all the time. And so that was pretty important for me to recognize because I didn't realize how much um, you know, I was just thankful for those opportunities when I had it. And then I kind of later shifted in a different way, and that's kind of where I would say I'm at now. Like for the 6 years I've been in the trade, I've looked for opportunities to step away from work so that I can focus on these things that I think are really important for my sake and for others. I want to share whatever I can, and I
Mhm.
feel like I have the most to share through music and the different people that I can meet. Um and so I've taken some, I would say, big risks on my end to set aside things that are secure or comfortable. Um and that has to do with my work. Um and sometimes in my housing situation, like there's always these things that can move around.
Mhm.
I grew up in a way that, you know, you commit to your job and you show up and you have a career and you retire, and it's simple that way. You have that to count on. But um I don't know. I'm a man of God. I'm a Christian. I think this is an important thing because it's something I'm learning about what it looks like to live in a way that honors that, because with that, I feel like I need to take all necessary risks to risk everything for what he's given me, Curtis. And so I've been learning that process on what it looks like to give up my job, quite literally. I asked for a layoff and said, "Hey, I need to take a break from work," not knowing how I would be provided for in a way, you know, after the fact. And I've had so many um, dreams of traveling, Curtis, and it's like, man, one day that would just be amazing. I don't know how that's going to happen. Like, how do I afford this? um, and just all these things I would love to be a part of and pour into. And I mean, I kid you not, I purposefully took the work and just set it aside. Um, I had a place to live at the moment. That's where I'm at now. Um, but in that time frame, I was just kind of waiting, like, all right, what is next? I have no clue what's next right now, but I'm so thankful I have this opportunity to just wait because I don't know what it's like. And within a few weeks, I had opportunities come up, and I was able to spend some time in Europe. That was my first time out of country. I had just enough saved up to go and come back. Like that's important to be able to come back, right? Um, and then after that, through church, I had an opportunity to head to Kenya. Um,
Mhm.
and I would have never imagined myself being able to do this anytime soon. And I just took that risk knowing that God has provided in pretty unique ways up to this point. And and so I'm willing to just step into that again. So I did. And I was able to take my music. I play saxophone. That's what I enjoy. And I took that with me and was able to share that to kids that have never seen something like this. And I mean, I tell you the joy that I was able to witness from these people across the world that don't even know me. Um, that's something that is I will never forget. Um, so now I'm home and it's been quite a few months now. And I have opportunities to get back to work and it's been great. But I don't know that I think that risk part is is something that this has opened up so many neat opportunities for me because the opposite of not taking a risk is that fear. And that's what I've dealt with in so many ways. And I didn't think I was a fearful person, Curtis, but it's pretty amazing. I could write a whole list on a piece of paper of the things I'm working through. But one of the big ones is just getting rid of control in my life.
Mhm.
And I feel like I've purposefully set things aside to see what God has for me. So,
That yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, I was on my phone and I was seeing you posting all these pictures and videos. I'm like, where is
mm.
this guy? This guy's all over the place. So I was like, I have to talk to him and kind of see what's going on. Now
Mhm.
I'm curious though. It seems like you were able to kind of take that leap because it's I just assume that you're living costs are pretty low with the house hacking. So do you think house hacking kind of enabled you because of the because you, I figure your bills are pretty low to go on and go do all these awesome opportunities and kind of take that risk?
Mm. Well, it's all about the timing. It's kind of wild. But right before I was um given the opportunity to head out to Kenya and stuff, I needed to make sure where I was at and specifically the duplex that it was covered. Like it's one thing to pay for my housing when I'm gone, but it's another thing to pay for two other units when they're not filled. So it was within 2 weeks time frame that I had off from work. I took my time off that tenants moved out, and I had 2 weeks to remodel one unit.
Oh wow.
And dude, I've never been more motivated to get work done in my life. So I got a team of people together. I'm like, hey, we got to get this project done. And in 2 weeks, we've got a full kitchen, full uh floors, paint, the whole 9 yards to do.
Oh
And
wow.
we got it done, man, and it was so fun. I love that team effort of work. So then that was ready, and along the way, I've met people that I'm always just wanting to hear their stories, and so I was able to provide basically a friend some housing, got him in there, and then I had that next week to kind of figure some other things out, and another guy reached out and he filled in the other side. And it's like, all right, I guess I'm going to Africa. But I wasn't able to go if, these things weren't in place. And
Mhm.
and so the other side of that was my house situation. Um, that I am still kind of figuring out how to handle that. It's just me here at the moment, and that's what it was like when I left. Um, and so, like I said, I had just enough to cover to get my way there and back. Um, but I didn't have any extra, that's for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And whatever crew that you use to get a full turnover done in 2 weeks, bathroom, floors, everything, I need their phone number. That is incredible.
Oh yeah, you get people that are motivated. Sometimes it's quite a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, how has it been to self like manage? Because I hear some people they're like, oh, I have to have a property like management team. Some people are like, oh, I'm the self manage.
Mhm.
Kind of why did you choose to go the self management route, and how has that gone?
Why did I choose to do the self-management part? Kind of because I had to. I didn't have the funds to pay for management when I started.
Mhm.
Um, I think it was also important for me to learn all aspects of what it would look like to do this real estate thing in some capacity. Um, because I think there's value in learning the different parts that have to come together to make this work so that I know what it takes if I even pay somebody to do this or, figure out what I'm good at. And so I can tell you I'm not great at managing. And but I'm still not at a point where I can effectively pay for that service yet. Um, I do my very best to communicate well with people in a timely manner and make sure they're up to date on things. But I also don't feel like I need to bug my tenants at all. I feel like if they don't have anything to share, I don't have anything to share. Let them have their families. Yeah. And that's been a really good, easy way to handle communication. And then if problems come up, I'm try to be there as quick as possible and handle things. But yeah, I think that's something that I would love to con continue to look in the direction of paying for. Um, but it has to make sense.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a cheap um like service. So
Right.
okay, so you're self-managing, you're doing your passion in Africa. What was your plan if something went wrong and you're way in Africa? Because you can't go home and fix it.
Well, I guess people have plan Bs, huh? Let's see. Well, like I said, I have some awesome parents. My mom and dad were always ready to jump on anything that was needed. And so I made sure they were aware of what was going on
Oh man.
and give them access if there were problems. Um, and then, a few friends that I would trust. So I think just knowing that I had people to back me up and that I could trust, um, I it'll take me a lifetime to repay the people back, even already that have helped me, Curtis. And so, uh, yeah, I'm quite thankful for people that can be willing, like that. And I want to be able to do the same, you know. It's kind of a big part of replacing this whole work for your income to replace time thing.
Yeah,
And yeah, because being able to help people in the ways that I've, learned that are unique, and I want to be able to do the same thing. So,
that is awesome. Yeah, it's always good to have trusted boots on the ground. Like I have some friends that invest out out of state, but they all have someone or a team of people there that they can really trust. And especially if you're
mm,
going to be traveling more, you're almost going to be investing at a distance. If you're in Africa and
yeah.
your properties are here in like Washington, it's awesome that you have those people that you can kind of like
Mhm.
lean on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Good. So you're in your single family house now. You're kind of unsure on what you're gonna do with like the roommate thing. I understand. For me, it
Mhm.
seems like it's harder to find a good like roommate than it is to find a good like tenant.
Yeah, I guess you're living with them, huh?
Yeah, because you actually have to kind of not like them, but you got to be on somewhat good terms, and so it's definitely a little
Mhm.
bit harder. So are you thinking of trying to save up again for a third one? Or are you good with and you're at? What's the next step there?
It's a good question. When I first started 3.5 years ago or so, um, and I kind of got this taste of progress, right? Like, oh man, I'm fixing this and people are moving in. Like, oh, this is so neat. Like, this is what I've been learning. And putting it to practice was a big part of that. But I just always felt like I needed to go to the next project and the next project. And oh, these are moved in. Now I got to fix this. And then, just balancing that's just crazy. But I have been here for over a year and a half now, and I haven't taken on any projects, mainly because I haven't had the funds to do that. But also I think I needed to rest. That's important. I think especially for somebody like me that is easily motivated, and if I have a clear goal, I'm going to run from the beginning and probably finish sprinting, but it just doesn't work out all the time. Um, and so I think, yeah, that that trend has been from this motivated progress thing, from one thing to the next, learning how to rest. And so that's where I'm at now is I'm able to kind of relax. Um, I'm still working full time and doing some other things in that way. Um, but as far as my next project, I'm always on guard, ready to go on whatever's next. Um, and so with that flexibility that I'm practicing, I'm not trying to jump on anything and everything because it's the next thing to do. I want to be decisive and wise with my time and my finances. And so I've spent months now doing my best to organize what I do well because um, handling finances is a big deal. And, there's one thing that can slip through the cracks, and, I just don't want to, I don't want to do that. My bigger desire is to have a family of my own. And so if I can't handle things well on my own and finance stuff or just anything to organize what I'm doing right now, I just don't see that working well when I'm leading a family. So I feel like this is my time to practice some simple things, but um kind of just hone things down, get it tight before I feel comfortable jump into the next thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that shows some financial maturity because you
Mm.
started off like, okay, duplex, and then I'm gonna get this tiny home, and then I'm gonna get the single family, and you're managing projects and work and your music, and it sounded kind of chaotic. And
Oh
then
yeah. Oh, you remember when I spoke to you? Yeah, I
yeah,
was I was all over the place.
yeah, and then now you kind of honed it down and you're slowing it down and you're making progress, but maybe not in the way that the public can see, but your own personal way.
Hmm.
So that's awesome.
Mm, for sure.
So if you had tips for anybody that's trying to get started, maybe they have work and they have a passion, but they're trying to get and work towards that financial independence,
Mm.
what tips do you have for them?
Don't learn from me. I would say learn from yourself. I don't think I would have done any of this if I knew what it would have taken, to be honest. This has been so difficult in so many ways, but I think kind of where I started when you were starting to ask about my journey, there's this confidence that comes through experience, um, that I feel like I can transfer to any part of my life. I've been given so many opportunities, but with that, at the end of the day, I'm the one to decide what to do with them. And so um, I'm motivated to take risks to learn or to grow in something. But if I find myself motivated by fear of, oh, that looks too difficult, or I've never done that before, that's not me, or whatever. If there's any fear motivation, for me at least, that's a sign that, all right, I should probably do it. To be honest, this opportunity to go to Africa, like the amount of fear that is to leave what I'm trying to sustain back at home, to go somewhere and speak in front of people I've never spoken, just crazy stuff. I don't do these things, but I found myself second guessing, like, no, that's too much. Um, and every time I just kind of disregard the fear and trust God ultimately is what I'm doing. Um, it's like he opens up a whole new spectrum of life to me, and I would say for people that are interested in anything like this, if this is a way for you to, um, I I guess to explore things that you've never done, and maybe confront some fears that you might have. At the very least, this is what you don't want to do. You're right, but um, I don't know. It can open up doors to many things, and um, I would just say I'm so thankful for what has come in my place, and I encourage people to do the same thing with every opportunity that comes.
Good. And that's awesome, man. Thank you. So if people want to reach out to you or follow your music or anything like that, how do they get in touch? How do they see all the awesome things that you're up to?
Well, I recently got an Instagram. I don't know if you know what that is, but uh, so that's called "This Joy Will Never Fade." Kind of a little catchphrase our group uses. It's pretty fun, but no, it's true though. Like the music for me is an unfading joy. Um, and so I actually started that before I left to Europe and Africa, and I've been using that ever since to connect with people through music mainly. Um, and so that's a way you can connect through there, and it's probably the only way, I guess.
All right.
And
Yeah, cool.
yeah, so thank you.
I'll put that link down in the description so folks can just follow you. So hopefully you gain some people. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming on, man.
Thanks a lot, Curtis. I appreciate your time. You take care.